Facebook, welcome YouTube. Welcome to Get Free and Fulfilled podcast with your host, Sarah Habab for the day. Where is Aram, you ask? She's actually on the other side of this. She's taking the chair of the guest today. And the reason she's doing that is because your regular host, Aram, has a beautiful story and has a lot of beautiful knowledge that you will really benefit from hearing about her and learning more about her. Oh, she disappeared and she's back.
Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties.
No.
Yeah, it says, oops, something happened to the connection. Please stand by while we're restoring the connection. Not sure what that means, but
Hmm.
let's keep going.
On my side, it says live, and we are at 50 at a minute right now. So let's continue.
Okay.
So, in this episode, actually, Aram has given me the whole freedom to question her and to have her share her story and put her story out there for you. Because if you're talking about getting free and fulfilled, she is literally a queen in that area. So, I want to welcome you, Aram.
You're so
And if
kind.
you
Thank
will
you.
start with introducing yourself, who are you and where do you come from? Give us a little background about you.
Thank you for that awesome intro, by the way, Queen. Yes, I am Aramdoi, and I like to say it Aramdoi because that's how we say it in Senegalese, in Wolof.
Ooh,
So I am
beautiful.
from originally from Senegal, and yes, I grew up in Senegal. I came to the US when I was 20. I am 43 now, well, almost 43. I will be 43 in January. Growing up in Senegal, my childhood was, I want to say, a bit of a blur. Because I still have some memories of my childhood, but there's still, I feel like, some things that I still don't quite remember in terms of details, which I'm guessing is normal for a lot of us. We have memories, but not everything is quite detailed. But I also had a lot of repressed and suppressed memories from childhood. So I experienced like a lot of sexual abuse as a child around 4 years old, and it went on for a few years from different men in my life. So that really, that was the beginning of me not knowing myself and wrapping myself in a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and a lot of deep emotional stuff that I just didn't know how to get out of, and I sort of carried it throughout my whole life, even as an adult. And I feel it's only recently that I started to just peel away all those layers and finding out who I am to the core. It's been a journey of learning and growing and just sort of like getting to know myself and unfolding. I feel like I am still unfolding to this day, which now I feel it's a beautiful process. I did not feel like it before, but now I really, truly, honestly feel that it's a beautiful process that in some way we all are going through a process. All are growing in our own way. We are unfolding. It's just like it never ends. It's always like unfolding. It's like going, what's under there? What's under there? And it's a beautiful thing.
I heard someone say many years ago that it's sometimes healing or life is like an onion. You just keep peeling off layers, and each layer might bring tears, might bring something, but it's layers. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So I love that you took us there, but I want to go back to the moment of because you said it took you so long of like repressed memories and like, not knowing yourself and all that stuff. What was the moment that you were like, oh, something is going on here? And you started peeling the layers and you started like looking and understanding that you don't know who you are, but now you're willing to see who you are and start your journey as the Aram that we know right now.
Oh, well, it's very simple. It was after falling on my face over and over and over. It's like, there's that saying, when the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of changing, then we will change.
Mm,
So I reached that point where going about life the way I was going, which was feeling empty and looking for outside validation, looking into like men to really validate me and tell me that they love me and that they like me and that will protect me. That's what I was looking for because I just did not feel safe in who I was in myself. So I was always looking outward for the answer, for the validation. And it wasn't working. There was
mm,
not one time where it ever worked because it's not supposed to work like that. that I had to stop after doing it and just repeating the same thing over and over and over. And it was just not working. So I was like, okay, this clearly is not working. So maybe it's time to look inward. It's like you've done it all out there and you still don't feel quite right within you. So take a look inside, which was this such a scary thought to just be like, okay, you mean I have to look at that inner shame within me? I have to look at that inner guilt and that self punishment. Am I ready for that? But I started doing it, and I had heard about all the answers are within you a lot, but to me at the time I was like, that's bullshit. Like, what does that even mean to look inward? But there's a lot of truth to it. And so it was a slow process, and it's a process of doing that and finding out, first of all, what is down there, what is like that root underneath thing that I've been so scared of looking at. And it was all of the shadowy parts of my side, who I was, and was all rooted in childhood trauma, deep childhood trauma, surrounded with like shame within myself, that whatever happened, whoever, that it was my fault. Basically, for me, the root cause of it was that, yes, they sexually abused me because I allowed it. It was my fault. I liked it, so I must be punished for it because it was my fault. Never mind that you're 4, you're 5, doesn't matter. I was there and they touched me. I let them touch me. It's my fault. Therefore, I needed to be punished. So I went through that cycle of just like self punishment and just being so angry at myself and feeling so guilty and shameful. And that's how I went through life. And that's how I experienced my life. I saw everything in my life through those lenses of like, just being so shameful of myself. And yeah, as I went deeper into that journey and looking deeper and finding out, okay, where is this coming from? Why do I feel this? And just not being afraid to start to feel it. Because what I was really doing was thinking about it a whole lot, but never really allowing myself to feel it, because feeling it would be too painful. I thought, this would kill me to feel it. So let's repress
Mm.
it. Let's suppress it. Let's distract myself with the outside, whatever men, relationships, and whoever. But at some point, I had to dig deep. And I feel like I'm
All
still
right.
digging deep, honestly.
Yeah, it never ends. That is so. I just had to like exhale like a few times as you were talking, because as you were talking about how as a 4-year old you internalized it as like it's your fault because you allowed it and all of that. So I imagine that after years and years, when you said you turned inward and you always heard it like, it's like within you and all of that. When you turned inward, I bet it was scary. How did you not run away from it? Like, how did you just accept it deeper? And like, did you have any help? Like, did what helped you in that moment to keep facing it and not be like, okay, I don't want to open this. This is too painful. I want to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not one of those people. Like, I wish I did at the time, maybe like, therapy and all that stuff, but it was too expensive. So I decided I'm going to face it on my own, because to me, it went to a point where I didn't have a choice. It's either face those feelings and the past, or keep living in that stuck mode that I was in, and that was not a choice. So I had to just turn towards doing the work. And it started with journaling. I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of meditation and looking inward and introspection. I also did psychedelics. So that was actually, I would say, a turning point. I'm not, telling anybody to go do that. There's so many modalities that could work for a person. But just for me, for my own journey, I did do it, and it it opened up the gates. Basically, I had an intention to go into it to just surrender to whatever comes up, but I had no idea what was going to come up, like, really, because at that moment I still did not go deep enough into like facing those emotions. And so when I went into that psychedelic journey, all of those things came like it was like a storm. Like, there was no holding it back. It was coming like, you know it's you can't go back. It's and it comes with a force. Now, at thinking about it now, I to do it differently, I would have somebody hold space for me in that moment. But I chose to not have that, and I went into the journey by myself. And yeah, it was, you just can't turn away. It was right there, and the emotions just came. And for me, the main emotion was anger. I had a
Mm.
lot of anger within me that I was in denial about for my whole life. It was a lot of anger. Now, before that, if you had met me and you were like, "You got anger, you're angry," I was like, "You're lying." That's what I would say. You're lying, because I did not know it was there, but I was harboring a lot of anger within me. Anger towards myself, anger towards those men, anger towards my parents. So I had a lot of anger within me that was just coming out. And yes, it came out. And for me, anger came out as like the way anger usually comes out, a lot of screaming, and it was all of that. Yeah, I fucking hate you, I fucking, and all of that stuff. And so that was the beginning of my journey towards, healing. It's was to recognize that anger was there, and then starting to, after that, still working towards the anger. And whenever it comes up, I used to get like a reaction in my jaw, like tightness, and it was all the anger. It was still coming out physically, and I just chose to sit with it for a while. And I sat with it and sat with it. It was very uncomfortable. And now I'm at a point where when I notice anger coming up, I notice it, but I don't have the visceral reaction that I used to have. I can
Mm.
observe it and notice that, okay, this is anger. How is it showing up within me? And that's in my jaw. And just stay with it. And then it starts to release itself and move.
That is so amazing. I actually want to go back and ask you, because you said that about how you were years on ignoring it. And then you said that you got to a very painful point that you either face it or that's it. Like you had no choice, which
No.
I feel like there is always choice. You can always choose to blindfold yourself again and like move the other way.
So I was
But
like, this.
you were courageous. I will give you that. um, what would you tell? Um, because we live in such a world where now it's women are getting more brave to speak up and to come out and say like this happened and that happened, and we live in a world where there are still parts of the world where women cannot come out and speak up to things that happen to them, um, and they don't know how to deal with these things. They carry it on. What is the first step for, would you say, to another Aram, the other Arams of the world who don't know how to face this? How would you guide them through this experience of, hey, like face it, like sit and face it and go in? Because it, maybe you were ready, but how do you help someone to get ready for facing it?
Mm, that's a great question. First, I would really say to come back to yourself first and foremost, which means sort of removing yourself away from the distractions, the things that we normally are our go-to places when we start to feel a little bit of discomfort within ourselves. Would go to social media or call a friend or text this person and do all of those things that we normally do to distract ourselves. I would say maybe take a moment just for yourself in that space. Not even have any, it's not about saying, yeah, I'm taking this moment to heal, or I'm taking this, just like nothing. No objective except to just sit in that place. Just, yeah, I'm just going to sit here for now. I feel like sitting, and just sit there, do nothing. And then do that for a little bit until you just get used to sitting with yourself. Because that's something that I feel like a lot of us are not very comfortable with, like just to be with me, myself, and I. It was hard for me at first to just, I get the urge to text my friend or get the urge to call this person or watch TV when I could just sit here and do nothing. I have no expectations, nothing. I just want to sit here. So I would just tell that person, just sit with yourself for a little bit. Practice doing that. And as you do that, things will start to come up. but you will also get the urge to go and do something. When you get the urge, just bring yourself back. And you don't have to like sit there for 10, 15 minutes. Do 5 minutes at a time. Just take, even you have to set it, if you want to set a timer and be like, for 5 minutes, I'm going to intentionally just sit here. Nothing else. Just sit here for 5 minutes. And then do it incrementally if that works for you. And then later on, I would start by looking at a way to remove shame and guilt and fear. First of all, the shame, because there's so much shame around sexual abuse, around all of that stuff. And for me personally, like when that happens, it's like you're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to tell anybody because it's just not something that we talk about. And if you do, sort of, I'm thinking, not that that's how it happens, but I'm thinking in my mind that because I believe it's my fault, and if I talk about it, then other people will also believe that it's my fault because that's what I believe.
Mm.
But it's really about just sitting with yourself and removing that shame and that guilt to tell yourself that it's not your fault. It's nothing that you invited, but also that shame and that guilt is not yours. You don't own it. So it's first to stop identifying with it. Do whatever you can to stop identifying, even if it's as simple as telling yourself, it's not my shame, it's not my guilt, it's not my blame. Do it as much as you can so you can remove that from your mind and from your body. It's not yours. What helped me personally is to first feel the shame. When I noticed the shame, first in my head, the thought of the shame, oh yeah, that was me. I'm full of shame. Notice it, and then I feel it. And where I feel it personally is in here. I feel it here. And once I feel it and I sit with it, just to observe it, no judgment. Observe it, feel it within me, and then allow it to move. Because as it moves, then you realize that it's not yours. You're here observing that feeling over here. It's not, it's like, I'm out here observing this thing that's not me. It's separate from me. So why am I identifying with this feeling of shame or this feeling of guilt? It's just the feeling. When I allow it to move through me, it will move through me because it's not mine. It never was mine, but I just identified with it. So now I'm going to start by removing it and just allowing it to move through because I don't own it. It was never mine.
All right. So it's, oh my God, I can honestly, I'm sitting here and I was just admiring the way you're speaking and like with your voice and everything. So I had to like mention that because I'm like, this is so beautiful. Like you just took me on a journey within my own body. So I appreciate it. But I was thinking as you said that the first thing to realize is that it's not your fault, it's not your shame, it's not your guilt. How do you go from that to the empowered queen that you are without falling into the trip? It's not my shame, it's somebody else's fault. It's not my fault, it's someone else's fault. Did
Yeah.
that happen at all? Or is like where was there that split second or like the how would you help someone go from I'm not gonna carry this package, but I'm not gonna be adding because you could go from anger towards yourself to like anger towards someone else and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because that happened to you, like
Yeah.
how do you not fall into that victim trap as well? Because you move beautifully through it.
That is such a great question. And for me, what it went back to was to cultivate love. Like I really had to cultivate love within myself and also do my best, not always perfect, but do my best to answer and react from that place. Because when I reacted from that place of anger, it's like I felt the anger within me and then I pushed it out and I, like sort of directed it at those men. But it's still anger. Anger begets anger. Like that's the only thing you're going to get from it. So it's not really serving me. Never mind them or whoever they are. Even when I project it out or I project it within myself, it's still not serving me. It's still anger. When I bring it out, that's what I get right back. It's that boomerang effect. So I had to choose, what is it do I want? If I say that I want love, then I have to put love out. Never mind who's at the receiving end of it. If I know that it's a boomerang effect, like whatever I put out into the world will come back to me tenfold, then it's almost like a selfish thing, you know? It's like, be careful what you put out there because it's going to come back to you. And then I get to choose, what do I truly want? Do I want anger or do I want love? Do I want fear or do I want love? Do I want guilt and shame or do I want love? Now, if I say that I want love, then I have to observe my actions, observe my feelings, and observe my projections. Because a lot of projections, and just get awareness around that. And if I feel like I'm projecting something that's not in alignment with what I want, which is love, then I have to kind of readjust my ways. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And just a follow-up question, and like we're going down this whole like I feel like it's a whole coaching session for anyone who's listening because you are a coach and you're just coaching us all through this, which is beautiful. Um, because you never know who this episode gonna serve in the
Mhm.
future. And for that person who has the anger and all everything, how would they understand what love is if they held on to like all the anger, all that 4-year-old is very young,
Mhm.
that's very, very young. And how did you come up and the only reason I'm asking is because I know how amazing you are right now. Like I can see
Yeah.
genuine love out of you.
Thank you.
And how would you guide a woman to find that genuine love and understand what love is?
I mean, it's a process. Like we have to be honest and see everything as a process. We are always in a process. Like we can't expect ourselves to be here and then be here overnight. It's like this, like little by little, we get there. Trust that you are in the process, but also when you are in that process, first and foremost, allow yourself to feel whatever that feeling is. Allow yourself to feel that anger. Feeling that anger doesn't make you a bad person, it doesn't make you inhuman. It is actually human. Allow yourself to feel it. And when I say feel it, I don't mean like going out there and screaming it out to the world. When I say feel it, what it means to me personally is to sit with it and notice that physical sensation of the anger within my body. Notice that, stay with it as an observer, not as like a judge. Like we're not here to judge anybody, not ourselves nor anybody else. Observe it as a just like an observer without any judgment, like without trying to rationalize it, without trying to explain it away. Just feel it, notice it, sit with it, because the more you do it, the more it will move through you. And then as you allow yourself to feel the anger, you also allow yourself to feel love. Like allow yourself to feel the love for yourself. Because I feel like we don't do enough of that. It's like, do we even know what it feels like to feel love within ourselves? We won't know until we intentionally sit and start practicing it. Just sit and be like, today I'm going to intentionally feel love. You don't have to go in thinking, okay, what does it even feel like to feel love? Like we don't, because when we do those things, we're like explaining it and rationalizing, trying to rationalize everything in our heads. Just sit and be like, you know what? I want to feel love, and just sit, see what happens. Get into it with curiosity, without judgment. Just explore, and you will be surprised as to what come up.
That is so beautiful. So I want to go back all the way back to the beginning of the episode. You mentioned that you're from Senegal. So
Yes.
at what age did you come to the US? What was how old were you?
When I came here, I was 20. So this was like
Okay.
almost 23 years ago. Yeah, I was 20 years old when
Okay.
I came to the US. And I barely knew any English, kind of like you. I barely knew any English. And I remember my first job was at a clothing store, a boutique store in Harlem, in New York City. So, yeah, I it's like, I think it was about 2 or 3 months after I came here, I got that job working in the store. And that's actually where I learned to speak a little bit of Spanish, because I was surrounded by people who spoke Spanish. But I came here being so still in my shell. Like I was so deeply covered up. Like I did not know who I was. I was super shy. I had a lot of like layers and a lot of programming that I was not even aware that I had. I just felt, I knew that I was not feeling good in my body. I just did not feel comfortable. I did not feel safe in my body. I did not know who I was. So what I did was I just picked up from other people, whatever they told me, whatever they say I was, or whatever I think they think I am, and I mold myself into that. So
Yeah, the
that's what
whole
I
thing
did.
of like, whatever you think I am, like, the whole trap thing.
Exactly. It was not even that they were. I don't know, but I was just like, I think they want me to be this person. Then I'm gonna just sort of do whatever I can to be that person.
All right. And at what point you started to be you and understand that? Because you just mentioned that it's what we think. So at one point you internalize that, oh, this is not the way it is. Like, I am who I am, or I can pick who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say that I was even aware that I could pick. That took me a long time to get to that place. It's like I was still searching. I mean, like the search, I'm still searching in some ways, but um, I had this thing of needing just emotional validation from men. It was this
Mm.
thing that I was always searching, that acceptance, looking for acceptance and looking for the love of the man. So I would do whatever I could to try and get it, if it meant like, pleasing, being a doormat, and it's like just doing all those things. It was manipulation, basically. I was doing whatever I could to manipulate that person into loving me. And that didn't work. But there was still that deep yearning and that deep desire to be loved and to feel safe, because I never felt safe growing up. So I was always looking for safety. And I thought that, it was out there. So I always went out there looking for it. And then finding out that it never worked. So then I figured, okay, it didn't work out there. Maybe, just maybe, I can somehow build that safety within myself. And that was the journey to get to that place of safety. And it started first by uncovering, what is it that is making me feel so unsafe within myself? And it went back to childhood. I had to go back and look at all of those things and kind of find out where's that coming from. And I did a lot of meditation on that. I did a lot of self-hypnosis. Hypnosis has been huge for me. It's like I can go in literally into my subconscious and reprogram those like events, specific events and moments of my life that were really the root cause of what I was dealing with at the time. So, like, allow myself to get in there subconsciously and reprogram those events. That was really a big thing for me personally.
And how did you learn that?
Oh, so I joined Rapid Transformational Therapy. It was founded by Marissa Peer. So I joined her program and I learned all about hypnosis, how to hypnotize yourself and hypnotize other people so you can reach your subconscious mind, which is like going into alpha or theta, to just get, because everything really, it's like it's into our subconscious mind, which is the feeling mind. And a lot of the stuff that we feel that comes up, at surface level, is rooted into the subconscious mind. It was like, so learning to go there and find out. So I feel like I'm an investigator, and it's fun for me to like, okay, we're going to go and find out what's there. What are we going to find out? This is exciting. Let's get in there. What's going to come up? I did not feel the fear, but I think it's because I did work before that. So I'm at a place where I don't feel any fear to go and find out what's there. Because there was a time where I was like, oh, hell no, I don't know what's down there. I'm not going down there. But now I'm in a place that's like, yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. What else is going to come up? And yeah, stuff comes up. And then that's my opportunity to reprogram that in my mind.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe I never reached out to you for an RTT like a
Let's do
session.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm curious now. That is so amazing. So I want to go back to like actually your journey, not only internal journey, but out physical journey of you get into the country, you're working in a retail store in Harlem, you're surrounded by people who speak English and Spanish, you're picking up Spanish and English and all of that. What what was the transition outwardly for you, like what jobs next and all of that, and like did you move from one environment to another? How was that for you? Cultural shock. Take us through that
Yeah.
journey,
Wow.
queen. We
So
love to know.
that was such a journey. And the funny thing is, like, I found myself working in some places for a long time. Like, I was not that person who jumped from one job to another within like a year or something, because that looking back at it now, it was part of me being comfortable, and being comfortable in like what's familiar. So I went from working in that clothing store to working at Zara. I believe I worked at Zara briefly. And then I worked at, working at Zara was fantastic, by the way, because every paycheck I had literally stayed there buying clothes. so,
They pay
so,
you, you pay them back. That's how
yeah,
retail
exactly.
works.
Not a good idea, though. Don't do it. So yeah, and then I worked at FAO Schwartz. So I managed the department store at FAO Schwartz as like the boy side department. So yeah, FAO Schwartz actually was fantastic experience. Do you remember FAO Schwartz? It's like a old toy store.
I
It
don't think
used to
so.
be on Fifth Avenue. So it's like, and then after it was bought up by Toys R Us, and then it went out of business. So yeah,
Oh,
I worked there, and it was a great experience actually working at FAO Schwartz. It was like my first job where I felt like I was like I had some authority, sort of, like as a manager. I was like, oh, I'm a manager. Well, everybody else calls me a manager. What does it feel like to? Because like for me, I never thought of myself as anybody who could lead other people. I always
mhm.
felt like a follower. So that was the first time in my life that I was put in a position of being a leader. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to tell these kids what to do? Yeah. And that was such a learning moment for me, because I had to sort of guide, or I don't want to say tell them what to do, but I was put in a position where I had to, okay, this goes here. Can you do this and do that? And it was very hard for me to do. Let's just say it's like having to tell people what to do. I was like, I am not comfortable with this. Is this what being a leader means? So
Wow.
I was not very comfortable in that position, but that was a good start for me to start learning and sort of finding out for myself what it means to be a leader, because that particular position was not very comfortable for me.
Okay, and how did that open up? Okay, it wasn't comfortable when you started, but did it did it show you like something that you were like you're curious more about? Like did it make you more curious about it, or were you like, okay, this is not for me and you moved to like different job? Like what happened after?
What I was able to do, that I'm actually happy that I did in that moment, that is I was able to turn it around into what I felt like was more in alignment with who I was. So instead of being here and telling people what to do, I sort of led by example. So when we would come in the mornings, like we do like a morning meeting, and then when you're supposed to walk with them and have them do this and do that, I would go and say, okay, let's do this together. Where do you think it should go? Like ask them questions, make them feel more involved in that. And at that time, like I was not into personal growth at all. Like I was not consciously anyway into personal growth. So when I now I'm thinking about it, it was actually it was a not a
So
bad
you
thing
learned
to
true
do.
leadership. Like you learned
I
actual
was
true leadership.
I was figuring
But
it out.
first,
I was like,
show them
okay,
how.
exactly. I was like, okay, wow, that was not because that traditional, you know, way of leading is just like that's not me. So I need to figure out another way that to do it that just feels more in alignment. And for me, it was to lead by example, bring them along, sort of to have conversations. And we even had like, actually, that store was very good at it, which like bringing all the employees together. It didn't matter if you were like a salesperson. It didn't matter where you were within that store, but we were all coming together to have like pizzas on every Friday. And we could just have conversations. We were there not as a manager or as an, whoever. We were all there together just as people having pizza together. And in those moments, we could really have conversations from person to person. And I found those, it was very useful to get to know that person, not as me, a manager, and as them, it's like a salesperson, but more of like person to person, like sort of who they are truly. And I found that brought up more respect for each other, which I really did enjoy.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that
You
was
want to
that was
take
my
us on you want to take
yeah.
us on the
So
journey after that?
and yeah, and then between all of that, I did go to college. So my whole reason for coming here, my mom brought me here. My whole reason for coming to US was to go to college, which I did, and then I graduated from Hunter College, and I got a degree, a double degree, double major in French and political science. Um, Again, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. No clue. Why? Because I did not know myself. But politics, I was like, my mom is close to politics, so let's go and do something in, study politics. No other connection with it other than that my mom is close to it. So I did that, and then worked some more at FAO Shores, and then took some time off just to figure out still what I wanted to do, because I still did not know what I wanted to do. So I kept working at FAO, and then it was fine. But at some point, I decided to go back to school. So I went back to school and got my graduate degree at NYU in global affairs, but still did not know what I wanted. Why? Because I still was not into, that, journey. I was still looking outward.
So
So
why did you choose the global affair? Why did you go back and choose to do the global affair, and even though like you weren't sure?
yeah. So my mom at the time was working for the UN. She was working at the UN. So I thought, okay, my mom is there. I could go and follow her footsteps. So let's go and do global affairs, do international relations, and maybe work at the UN. I even interned at the UN.
Wow.
But yeah, it turned out I don't like it. I did not like it at all. I was like, yeah, I don't like this. But this is after spending thousands and thousands of dollars in that program. It's like, holy shit, okay. And I took another time to like more time off and worked with kids, did some nannying and teaching and all of that stuff. And all of that stuff, throughout the whole thing, it was still me searching, still me not finding the place where I felt like I fit, where I felt like it felt like home to me.
Hmm.
And the reason was that I still did not know what home was. Like still did not feel that home within me. So I was still looking for it outside. And it was still not working, to the point where finally I decided within, working with kids, with nannying and teaching, and I realized that I still don't like it. I love kids, but I still don't like it. What are you going to do? So it's like, then I started, working on myself and looking inside, and that journey brought up so many other things. It's like I had to go deep within myself and uncover all the stuff that I was suppressing for so long. Now, within doing that, that's where I started to connect with my purpose and what brought me joy and fulfillment. That's how I got to that place. And I was, wow, this is actually what feels like home to me, which is sharing, my message and sharing the lessons that I've learned that got me to a place of, fulfillment and joy within myself from where I was, which was just being lost, being scared, being filled with shame and guilt and all that other stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I could never imagine you in politics. Like, just saying, I was shocked. Like, I knew you went got, your degrees and all of that, but I didn't know it was like political science and then global affairs. I'm like, that doesn't, yeah. It probably, you never know if it'll serve a purpose later in life, but like, I don't see you like that. So
Yeah,
I'm glad you
I
chose your
totally
journey.
convinced myself that I liked it. I sure did. And it came out when I look at the textbooks. I'm like, why am I reading this? Like, I could give two shits about this.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that you're on your journey that you're on right now. So you recently chose to not have a job working for someone else,
Yeah,
and you chose to serve in a bigger way.
yeah.
You chose your own way of serving. Do
Mhm.
you want to tell us about this experience? Like what happened in there?
Yeah, yeah. So it was it was scary. Like, there's always fear, which I think is normal. But so I want to say it started a year ago. So I found myself working, and I mean, I spent a lot of time with kids. That particular part, spending time with kids, I genuinely enjoyed. But then I did not like what it came with it, which is having to answer to other people, like grown-ups. It's so fun to be with kids, but then you have to answer to grown-ups. I was like, I don't like this part. But then also for me, the biggest thing was the time, like the time. I felt that maybe it was just me and my own projections, but I felt like other people were controlling my time. Other people were controlling how I was supposed to spend my time, what I was supposed to do. And that thought started growing into my mind about a year ago. And it just became bigger and bigger. And it came out in me feeling annoyed, me feeling impatient, me feeling short, and just like angry and resentful.
Like, were you at work?
Yes, while I was at work, totally. And then I remember like Monday morning, I was like heading to work, and then literally before I opened the door, I would take a moment to just like brace myself. It's like say a prayer for myself, feeling like, I don't want to be here, but I know I have to go in and do my best and be my best and just put a smile on my face. It's like fake it till you make it. That's how I was feeling. And so that's what I was doing. And it was not working because it was just me putting on a mask the whole time I was there. It's like, yeah, go in, wear the mask, put a smile on your face, and get a paycheck at the end of every week. But I noticed that during the weekends, I was my best self. I was excited, I was happy. I was not one time between in those 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, did I think about work. I actually felt free. But then Sunday night, the old feeling starts to come back. And I kept doing this and doing this. And I'm like, okay, like, hmm, maybe you should like pay closer attention to this like cycle that you found yourself in, that, you're sort of going through the motions and not being happy from Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday, you're your best self, but Sunday night, you start to get there again. So it's like, okay. Then I started to look closer and pay closer attention to how I was feeling, because it goes back to always how I'm feeling. So observing that and realizing, okay, this is not like, I'm not really feeling good about this. What can I do about it? How can I, make it better? The solution that I came up with was to get out. But my way of getting out, I don't advise anybody to do that, by the way. Like, don't take my advice. Because, like, it's like when you're getting out, you want to plan it out and make sure you have like a, fuck you money or whatever, plan it out.
I have never heard the term.
Really? That's the real term. I didn't
I'm
make
like
that up.
saving. I thought you'd be like some savings, something. Fuck you, money. All right.
That's what it is. Fuck your money. So you want to make sure you have all of those things in place before you make the jump. I didn't. I didn't do that. So don't do what I do. Don't do as I did. Just do as I say. So that's what I did. Made the jump. No, fuck you, money.
Hmm.
So now I'm at the place where I am happier than I ever been. Without even a fuck you fund, I still I'm happy. Call me crazy, but I still feel happy. And so it's like you what I realize is like you have to decide. Like we can get advice from anywhere in the world, from online or from people that you're close to or you are not close to. But at the end of the day, the decision is yours. So you get to choose, you get to decide what you feel like is right for you in the moment. And what I'm learning now is that to enjoy the process, to get lost in the process, to not worry so much about uh, the future or the outcome of whatever it is I'm doing in that moment. So let's say like this, I started this 20-day journey to launching that program. I told myself intentionally that no matter what, I am going to enjoy the process. No matter what, I'm going to get lost in the process. And having put that intention forward, I am actually enjoying it. I am having fun doing what I'm doing. And now that I'm feeling that way, I was like this is the best way to be. Like I don't want to be anywhere but enjoying the process where I am right then and there. Now, if like if you are in a process currently that's feeling a little funky, maybe enjoying it might not be the right word, but it's still about being aware and staying conscious that you still are in a process. And what does it mean to you to be in a process? For me, to be in a process means that nothing is permanent, especially if you are feeling in a place that feels a little funky to you. Remember that it's still a process and it's not permanent and that it's not set in stone. It's moving, it's evolving, it's unfolding, and it gets better.
Wow. That is so amazing.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
what's the program you're launching? Do you
Yeah,
want to talk about it?
well, sure. So it's called Get Free and Fulfilled. And
I'm
I,
surprised.
right, what else would it be called, right? Of course. So
Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
I decided to just have a beta program that it's all about the journey towards getting free and fulfilled. And what that means is like every person has their own meaning and their own definition, what it means to them to be free and fulfilled. But I believe down to the core of it, it's about removing all of the layers of programming. It's about removing all of the stuff that we've been told or we've been taught that down to the core, you feel like it is not in alignment with who you are. So if you're feeling that, you know, you any emotion that you're feeling, especially something that's rooted in deep emotional childhood trauma, which is for me, it's something because I've dealt with it and because I've found my way out of it. Stop. That's my Google Assistant. She's talking. So because I was able to, I know what it feels like to be in that space of, deep pain and deep trauma and deep shame and guilt. But I also know what it's like to be out of it and find your way in a place of growth and self knowledge and just evolving and fulfillment. I know what that journey can look like. That is why I created this. And it's really for women who are in that space that of just like, feeling stuck, feeling in that space that's, you don't, maybe you don't see a way out, and you just in that bubble of the same negative loop and emotions.
Mm.
But you know that life is more than that. You know that there's, it could be better, and then you want to get to that place of just openness and fulfillment. But maybe you need somebody to hold your hand and guide you through the process. That's why I put that together. And it's like guiding somebody, to me, it doesn't mean that I'm doing the work for you. I'm there to hold the space for you, to open like a safe container, because you want to feel safe and have somebody there to sort of guide you a little bit. Because sometimes you need somebody to be there and just to make sure that you're not alone, just to have that presence, that safe presence. So that's why I created that. And it's, I see it as a container where I can guide you towards through the whole process, because the process involves a lot of stuff, which means like discovering yourself, reprogramming all the stuff you've been told. You just first peel away the layers, find out who you are underneath, and look at, you know, the triggers or all the shadowy sides of yourself, you know, get in
Mm.
there and have somebody be there for you while you do that.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Actually, I had like two questions for the end of the episode, but I feel like you answered one of them. I was gonna ask, what does it mean to you to be free and to get free and fulfilled? So, for those who missed it, because you did say that, what is your definition of get free and fulfilled?
Yeah, I love that question. So, for me, getting free and getting fulfilled, first of all, it starts with looking at yourself. Like looking at yourself. I don't like to say take a hard look, because when you're saying hard, it's like you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. But looking at yourself with kindness, with compassion, with gentleness, but with also honesty. Look at yourself honestly, and find out your shadowy parts. Like, where are those shadowy parts of you? Bring light to them without judgment. Find out where in your life you're still hiding. Find out where in your life you're still playing small, and get free from that. It's like, because greatness is within us all. We all have greatness within us. And greatness, to me, that's where we get to the part of fulfillment. But first, we have to free ourselves from programming. We have to free ourselves from guilt and shame and all the negative emotions that we are all very familiar with. But we can free ourselves from it, and then uncover your purpose, uncover how you want to serve in this world, and
Mm.
find what fulfills you.
Wow. So I actually have a follow-up question from that. And I don't know how long this is gonna be, but you just said take an honest look at yourself. And we know that our mind are designed to make us like look good to ourselves. So sometimes we choose to look good to ourselves instead of look honestly at ourselves. So do you have any advice on how to look honestly at ourselves and not let the mind trick us into seeing us in the good lens?
Mm, mm, yeah. I think it helps to write, right? Like, you know, journal. If you have something that's coming up for you, if it's maybe like a shadow part, or maybe a behavior or a reaction that you often get, and you find yourself doing it over and over, and then start writing about it. And that honesty part comes when you are able to not censor yourself. So just write whatever comes up without censoring yourself, without, you know, thinking about how it's going to look to other people. So you're doing it just for yourself. You're not doing it for other people. You're not worried that it's going to look good or it's going to look bad to other people. There's no masks, because it's you, yourself. As you're writing, just think of it as just, I am not wearing a mask right now. I don't want to wear a mask. I want to be honest. I want to be raw with myself. I'm not going to censor myself. And I'm also not going to judge myself for it. Whatever comes up, I allow it to come. I'm not going to
Mm.
censor anything. I don't care how bad it sounds to you or how ugly it looks to you. Just do it. Write it down. Don't censor yourself. For me, I've done it. And then when I do it at the end of it, I actually laugh. I'm like, okay, this is crazy in a sense that it's freeing. It's very freeing because I don't have judgment towards myself when I do it. I'm at a place now that I don't have judgment. It's like, oh fuck, I don't have judgments about it. It is like it's what it is. Observe it, get the truth, the honesty, without attaching any judgment to it. Because when we attach the judgment and we attach the guilt to it and the shame to it, we don't need that.
Yep. Yeah, that's not a package that we want to carry.
Oh,
Stay there. That's so amazing. I feel like one thing that you repeated throughout the whole thing from the beginning to now is that allow, allow, allow. Like all I hear is like allow this, allow that. So that's like a
allow.
theme for you.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
What else? What do we normally do? We resist. We don't allow.
Mm-hmm.
When you resist, it persists. When you allow, it comes up and it gets released.
Yeah. Wow. That's so beautiful, Queen. All right. So what oh, actually two questions. I lied earlier. Two more, right? Huh.
I've done
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, right? Oops. Yeah. One question is when is the program coming up? Do you have a
Oh
date
yeah.
for that?
Yes, it's coming out exactly October 24th, which is a Sunday, I believe. So today was the third day of the countdown. So I'm literally counting down the days. So it's exactly October 24th.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it. And where can people find the program?
So you can get on a call because I feel like people want like a more information. And if you want just more information, I will post my link where you could schedule a call, half an hour call. I can answer any questions you have and also really listen to you, what it means to you to get free and fulfilled, and what is your ultimate goal? What do you want exactly? Because I like to know what you want and how I can bring you to that place. Basically, explain to you how we can get you from point A to point B by really getting to know what you want, where you are, what you believe is holding you back. So I like to have a conversation, and I'll put a link where we can you can get on there and schedule a half hour call, free consultation where we talk and I listen.
Whoever is listening to this is a very generous offer, like a free consultation with around for 30 minutes. Like that's insane. Like y'all shouldn't jump on it. Anyway, um if you were to see somebody who just came from your country, Senegal, and not necessarily maybe they're still there, maybe they're going to be the US. It doesn't matter where they are and they've had similar past. What is if you were to give them like one gift of advice? Doesn't have to be long, something that will
Yeah.
kind of like set them on a path.
Find out who you are.
Hmm.
Find out who you are. Get to know you. Underneath all of the masks, underneath all of the programming, the expectations from other people, and the expectations from yourself, based on what you've been told or what you've learned so far. Who are you underneath all of that? Find out. Because
Yeah, that part of it.
when you get to know that, you get to know why you are here.
Yeah, we touched a lot about the fear of other people, like how they see us and all that. But you just said about expectations of yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could be a whole another episode on
Yes.
its own because we can be very hard on ourselves.
Very hard.
Can we? Huh?
Like so many expectations that you put on yourself, and it's such a weight to carry. It's a huge weight to carry, and it's like when you removed all of those things and you find out who you truly are, you realize that a lot of the things that you thought that you wanted or you needed, you actually don't need or want.
Mm, wow. Queen, thank you so much for giving us the chance to hear about you.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
give you your stage back. You can have your stage back. You can close
This was
it.
fun.
So, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for creating this space and having me come on. This was your idea. I loved it.
you
So
created the space. I jumped on it. So thank you for that. We both take part of it. So yeah.
it's like you was like, oh, that's such a great idea. Thank you so much. And I loved it. And I love you. Thank you to everybody who watched and listened. And yeah, thanks. Love you all.
Have a great
Bye.
day.